say my public remarks have been published in the Hillsdale Daily News and online. I'm not going to rehash those, but there were so many irregularities on the evening of November 3rd into the morning of November 4th that demands our government look into it, and whether Biden would have legitimately prevailed and the Harris ticket would have legitimately prevailed, or Trump would have retained his office after that investigation, I would have been settled with that. But our government failed at every level to look into these irregularities. And to deny that there were irregularities is dishonest at best. I am proud that the foundation of our civil government allows me the right to voice my opinion, whether you disagree with it or not, whether it's politically correct or not, and speak it loudly and boldly as I please. It's a protected right. And if it offends you, I do not apologize for that. If it angers you, I do not apologize for that. Because I was given by God the right to go and petition my government for redress of grievances, and I am grieved at the lack of moral authority that our elected officials have showed in these past 10 or 12 weeks. It should upset all of us as American citizens to believe that a man who received 220 counties less victories than President Obama received when he won 67 million votes in 2008. It's very difficult for me to believe that 400 and some odd counties was able to produce 80 million votes. It's a stretch. If it happened and the process was legitimate and verified, so be it. I would live with that result. But for the officials in Wayne County to put up dry boards and cover the windows so people couldn't observe the process, that's troubling. For the officials in Pennsylvania to change the rules on the eve of the election without going through the legislative process, that's troubling. For the shenanigans in, I can't think of the county in Georgia right now that happened, that's troubling. For election in Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, for counting to stop at 11 and then start back up at 3, and for the curves to happen at one level, and then all of a sudden the roles reverse, and instead of the Trump ticket having the lead, the Biden-Harris ticket has the lead, and then the curves are the same. Those irregularities are troubling. And I have a right as an American citizen to be able to trust that the things that are produced in the seat of government in our republic are trustworthy. And I don't. And I went to Washington, D.C., and I took my 15-year-old daughter because I wanted her to understand that we have a voice, and our voices can be heard, however small. And in that throng of hundreds of thousands of people, we could yell and scream, nobody could hear us. But we were there showing solidarity and support for the constitutional process. The process which you say I abandoned or I betrayed, I reject that notion. And I ask you to reject or retract your statement in light that John Sullivan has been arrested by the FBI, and the affidavit suggests that he was the leader and instigator of the breach of the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. He is a known member of Antifa, and he was shown on camera, and it is in the sworn affidavit by the FBI that he was one of the instigators of the breach and probably helped lead to the assassination of the young woman inside the Capitol.
Yep.
With that information, Justice demands that you rethink the letter you sent. It is irresponsible to demand somebody to resign because they exercise their First Amendment rights. I would encourage you, as Penny Swan said, to read that Constitution that we are under and understand the foundation and bedrock of our liberty is the right for us to speak our voice and to say it loud and clear. And our culture is trying to remove that from the equation and steal that right from each and every one of us. And it is imperative that we stand strong and bold and courageous to speak the truth as we know it. Or this government of the people, by the people, and for the people will perish from the earth. And our children's children will hear us say, remember the America that once was free? I don't want to say that to our children's children. I want to say I fought for truth and justice. And I will continue to fight for her. Long may that banner wave. I thank you in one respect, because you have steeled my resolve that a government of the people and by the people and for the people is worth the blood and the sacrifice of the patriots that went before me and the patriots that will come behind me. And when I was standing on that mall and my feet got cold because of the dew on the grass and the wind coming off of the river, and I started to cry, not cry, but whine and complain about my cold and achy feet, until I remembered that on Christmas Eve of 1776, George Washington took a dramatic, bold step and crossed the Delaware. And I remembered that the blood-stained feet of the men who fought alongside stained the snow as they marched to engage the enemy. And I thought to myself, and I was ashamed that I would cry and complain about cold toes on a day when I'm exercising my constitutional rights, when those men bled and died on the battlefields of the Revolution so that we can exercise our rights. You, young man, I appreciate your passion and your boldness, but you would do well to truly understand the foundations and the institutions that serve you well. And sir, I appreciate you upholding your son. I admire that. But at the same token, I'm a free man able to exercise my free rights. I will serve this community well, as I've been elected to do. I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, and I won't apologize for it.